Ancient technologies. Comments. Atlantis, an advanced civilized, a globe-spanning advanced civilization. So that's the topic of this comment. Was the idea this like if Atlantis was a globe-spanning civilization, that means we should be able to easily find evidence of Atlantis anywhere in the world. Some places should be easier to find evidence of Atlantis than others, and I would agree. Logically, that's valid. However, it's the assumption that we haven't found any evidence of Atlantis. The thing we haven't found is the original location of the. A lot of people call it the capital of Atlantis. We haven't found the capital of Atlantis, which a lot of people just view it as just Atlantis, right? But we don't know the actual name of this advanced civilization. It's just we call it Atlantis because of Plato story of Atlantis. So we just use the term Atlantis to refer to a lost advanced civilization that existed in the past. But here's the logic, right? Here's the reason why I believe in the idea of a lost advanced civilization. It's because we exist. We are a advanced civilization, and 1,000 years from now, our advanced civilization will not exist. Right? It will be lost in time, and in the future generations, they're going to be talking about us like we're Atlantis. So for all we know, the Atlantis that we're trying to find, right, the lost ancient civilization, could just be a civilization a lot like ours that also had people in that civilization thinking about a lost advanced civilization before that, right? So then it's just a loop, an endless cycle, right? That we just have a habit of rising and falling, right? We create an advanced civilization and then the civilization disappears. Then we rebuild and start a new advanced civilization. And that process just keeps happening over and over, showing that the humans have a habit of at some point in time to start, you know, advancing. Like we don't stay doing the same thing forever. Because if that was the case, we all still be naked, right? Adam and Eve style. We wouldn't be out here with podcasts and TikTok and all that stuff, smartphones and none of this stuff. What we have is advanced. We are in advanced civilization. To say, oh, there was never one before us, like that's ignorant, and that's not narcissistic to say that we're the only advanced civilization. Speaking of advanced civilization, according to Google, when I look up what is an advanced civilization, it's an advanced state of human society in which a high level of culture, science, industry, and government has been reached. What civilization was the most advanced? Apparently, the Roman Empire was technologically advanced civilization in antiquity. That's interesting. So we acknowledge and point out that Rome was a technologically advanced civilization. So it's an advanced civilization, right? But Atlantis can't be real, as an advanced civilization can exist in the past, even though we literally have an advanced civilization that exists in the past. And this is not the only one. This is just the one that they pointed out. I believe, Egypt was an advanced civilization. The Mayans, the Olmecs, the Incas, right? And the list goes on. There's tons of other advanced civilization. Anytime humans existed, at some point they started getting together in essentially a tribe at first, right? Started working together, started building something, and then generations after generations, it evolved. One, the population grew, so then the resources that they needed had to grow. So then eventually they had to do agriculture, and the list goes on, right? So then they had to start domesticating their food source, right? Animals and fish and stuff like that, right? And plantations, right? Agriculture, and then they had to build structures so that way they can survive, right? It's like we need stable, long-lasting structures that we can live in, right? Basically, man-made caves. That's how I think of buildings and houses and apartments. These are just man-made caves, right? So of course, clearly, that's what would happen. We would, you know, get to a point where we keep creating things to make life easier. And the funny thing is, Once we make things like agriculture or stone structures, right, we had to create more stuff, right? To create a pyramid, you're going to need tools. So first you got to create the tools. Then you have to create the knowledge of how to use the tools. Then you have to implement the knowledge, right? You use the tools. And then at some point, somebody's going to get tired of doing things with copper chisels and hammers, right? Quote unquote. That they're going to be like, okay, we need something stronger than copper chisel, right? We need something. I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep bashing away um, with these pieces of metal onto stone. I want something. I want something better. So they will start trying to create better things. They'll be like, okay, if we're just trying to take this big block of stone and cut it in half instead of chipping at it with a chisel and a hammer, why not create like a guillotine, right? Something big, something that we can pull high up and just let it fall and break the stone in half. Why not pick the stone up a couple of, like maybe like 4 feet off the ground and then drop it onto like a roll of rocks, like set up a roll of rocks, lift the stone above it, and then drop it from 4 feet height, 4 feet, and hopefully it splits in half, right? Like I'll call that the reverse guillotine, right? They could have came up with ways like that, and that would make life easier. Like, oh look, yeah, we just pick up the rock, drop it, and it breaks. Simple. Work smarter, not harder, and then move on from there. And eventually, like I said, they will create technology. Like, oh, instead of us swinging a hammer to on a chisel to break stone, why don't we have like a machine, like an arm, like like a metal arm, right, or a wooden arm or something, right, piece of log, and have it swinging the hammer, and the wooden arm will be connected to like a water wheel and use water to power this hammer, and then now we have a powered hammer, right? A powered tool. Now this powered tool can be used to make bashing things with a hammer easier, right? Just like you can attach the water wheel to the guillotine idea I was talking about, and then use the water wheel to pull up the guillotine and then drop the guillotine. Pull up the guillotine and drop the guillotine. And that's how you can chop stone blocks in half, and then makes the job process easier, and then you just move the blocks around and use them to build shit. That's how there's a progression. They will eventually start trying to come up with easier ways to do things, because humans are smart, and they get smarter over time, and they share knowledge with their offsprings, with the next generation. So the next generation should be smarter and better than the last generation. So of course, at some point, they're going to become advanced. So it's ignorance to be like, no, there was never an advanced civilization in the past, even though humans existed for over 10,000 years. It's like 10,000 years is a long time. I just turned 43 this past Sunday, and I know a whole tons of stuff. I've built a lot of stuff in my life. I've built a robot. I've done a lot. So that's why it's ironic to be like, oh no, in thousands of years, 10,000 years, humans could never create something advanced. Like, that makes no sense. I've made advanced stuff. Even I'm right now researching and creating and experimenting with advanced concepts, like the whirlpool engine, for example. So it'd be, using gravity and water fluid dynamics to use it as a power source, use it as a motor, an engine, whatever you want to call it. It's weird to be like, oh no, we couldn't possibly create an advanced civilization in the past. Like, trying to make it seem like our current modern advanced civilization was like random, a fluke. We got lucky and we have an advanced civilization. No, we deliberately made an advanced civilization. Just like if y'all say the Romans was advanced, well, they made themselves advanced on purpose. It was an accidental. So in the past, the humans made an advanced civilization on purpose, and we call that civilization Atlantis. That's just what we call it.